See, in the today's class, you can see unsymmetrical welded connections. This is the last part of your welded joints. Today, I will try to give the assignment number 1. So, if you prepare for assignment number 1, you are ready for first test. So, unsymmetrical welded connections. Now, you can see here, I have covered so far symmetrically welded connections. You can see here L1 is equal to L2 because this is the load line. The load axis you can see here, the load PU, that is axial load axis. The axis of the load and the centroid of L1 and L2. Imagine these two are two rectangles. Imagine these two as two rectangles here. The centroid of these two rectangles together from our basic knowledge, the centroid of these two rectangles will pass through the center line. Now, if I increase the size of this rectangle, imagine these two are welds only with length L1, thickness PE. I'm showing only welds here for the sake of clarity here. You can say this is L1. In case of symmetrical welds, this is L2. This one is imagine it is a rectangle of size L into TE. Approximately the size of rectangle is L into L1 into TE, L2 into TE. I'll take you back here. This one I'm telling this L1 is here, no? This L1, this L2. Only these two I have drawn here. Only these two I have drawn. Centroid of this L1 TE will be somewhere here inside, exactly geometrical. Centroid of rectangle L1 T is here. Centroid of rectangle L2 T will be exactly its midpoint line, like this. But my question is, where is the centroid of both of these? Centroid of both of these will be again at the center here. If you divide this one, it will be exactly at center line. Now, in another case, if I increase the size of the rectangle here, top rectangle, I'll increase it. From your knowledge of centroid, you tell me what will happen now. My question is centroid of these two, where it is going to lie. Here, since these two rectangles were of same dimension, exactly at the center, if this is a total height is 100, total is 100, this will be 50. Centroid of combined rectangles will be at a distance of 50. In this case, what will happen? Whether the centroid of both the rectangles together, again it will be again at distance 50 only. Again at this point only, or it changes. Will it be same or it changes? So it will be shifted to now the combined centroid of these two rectangles will be somewhere here, just like an I section. If you imagine like this. So centroid starts shifting if the area starts increasing there. It becomes near to that. This centroid line is combined centroid of these two rectangles. For more clarity, you can see here. For more clarity, I'll show you a simple diagram. Observe this one here. If you have not followed this one, I'll show one more here. See, all of you mute it. Lot of disturbance is there. All of you mute it. This concept I'll explain with one more. This one here. Just observe. Whatever concept I am telling, I'll show three eye section. I'll take. This is one eye section I am drawing here. Top and bottom flanges are having same dimension. Both top and bottom are having same dimension. That time what will happen to the centroid? Centroid will be somewhere here only. Now if I draw one more eye section in which the top one is very big, let us say top one is very big here. What will happen to the centroid? You should tell me now, right now. Bottom one is smaller one. Now what will happen to the centroid where it gets shifted here? It is very close to the bigger rectangle. Now somewhere here the centroid has shifted like this. So what I'm trying to tell you here is in this problem, you imagine the top and bottom rectangles are there. No, only those two are there. This is not there only. This is L1 into TE. This is L2 into TE. Now the load is, if you see this diagram, load axis is going like this. This load axis is equidistant from L1 and L2. The reason is centroid of the welds and the load axis, this is the load axis, PU line, are coinciding. Now let us say this load axis is not shifted. Observe this. Let us say this is the load axis here. PU, this is PU. Only these two are there. Top and bottom rectangles are there, which are nothing but welds. In this case, if I say it is symmetrically welded, this is happening. What is that? The axis of the load and centroid of the welds are coinciding. Now you can see this. This is axis line of the loads. Since these two rectangles are of same dimension, their combined centroid of these two rectangles is again here only. Both are coinciding. Now if you keep the load axis same, what happens here? There is a problem here. See, welds will be subjected to a moment which is equal to force into eccentricity. Let us say this is small e, this is small e. P into E is moment. That means weld is subjected to moment which should not be allowed. That is why I must see that the both are coinciding. How it is done, I'll show you. In case of unsymmetrically welded, which is part 2 here, see this one. There are two diagrams. One is figure 1, figure 2. Figure 2 is related to today's topic. In figure 2, an angle is connected to the gusset plate, which is very common in case of trusses. You don't find any flat plates, IS flat. See here, this is IS flat. This IS flat is connected to the gusset plate. Here angle is connected, which is very common. If you look at any truss, if you see any truss, mostly it is angles only. Angles are connected to the gusset plates. So the common is angle connected to gusset plate is common than a flat plate connected to gusset plate. So if this is the case, see this one here. how to solve the problem. See here, how do we solve this problem? Just observe this carefully here. The cross section and front view both I have drawn here. Little bit net has become slow here. Okay. Can you see this diagram? Figure 2, unsymmetrical weld. Are you able to see this one? All of you can see this one, unsymmetrical weld.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what I have done is from the this angle is connected to gusset plate here. From steel table, I am able to find out this distance CXY. We can call it. This can be calculated from centroid of the angle section can be obtained directly from the steel table. If this angle the size is given corresponding to that size, I can easily get this value. So this is the axis of the angle section. I must the load has to be transferred or resisted along this line only. Again, next part will be again for higher advanced steel structures. Even the weld can be subjected to moments also, but in this syllabus, only axial forces are acting on the welds. Now, what has happened is here, since this load line has to pass through the centroid of the angle section. Now it is not exactly in the middle. So whatever value is there, no, that is the axis of the angle section. Because of this, what will happen here is top L1 TE, L2 TE, these two will not be same size now. So the one which is very near the centroidal axis, that length will be more. L1 will be more because this L1 is closer to the centroidal axis than L2. So the simple formula to calculate this one is here L1 is greater than L2, then only CG axis, centroidal axis of weld lines coincide with CG axis of loads that I have written here. You can see why L1 is greater than L2. Here L1 and L2 were same in case of symmetrical welds. In case of unsymmetrical welds, when an angle is connected to gusset plate, you will find that L1 and L2 will not be same. Depending upon whether L1 is closer to centroidal axis of angle section or L2, the value will be higher. In the figure that I have drawn here, you can see L1 is nearer the centroidal axis than L2. It means A is smaller than B. A is smaller than B. If that is the case, one simple formula is there, whatever, whether it's A or B, L1 into A is equal to L2 into B. L1 into A is equal to L2 into B. Moments produced about this, moments produced here. It is actually the moment is not produced here, but if I say that force is, let us say F1, force in this weld is F1, force in this bottom weld is F2. Okay. So the moments produced by these two must be same. So which is further reduced into L1A is equal to L2B. So I'll solve one problem in which this formula, how it is used. I'll show you that one. The idea here is I want to coincide centroidal axis and the load axis must come on the same line. That is why I have increased L1. Increase means L1 is greater than L2. But how to find it? Using this simple condition, L1A is equal to L2B. So this is nothing but moments must be same. Moments produced by these two forces about this axis, load axis is same. That you will learn here. Then problem I'll show you that one. I'll solve a problem in which this condition is used. So this is one full-fledged problem here. Try to read and understand what is there in the problem first. A tie member. Tie member means it is a tension member. Tie means tension member. A tie member of a roof truss consists of two ISA, two angle sections. See, these two angle sections are there side by side of size 100 into 75 into 8. You can see this angle section. The vertical leg is 100 in this figure. Horizontal is 75. Then you see this particular. First, read the problem and understand it. Two ISA, two angles are there. Both are having 100, 75, 8. 100 is the vertical leg height. Vertical leg height is 100 is indicated here. Total height of the one of the vertical legs is 100 mm. Horizontal leg is 75 mm. Okay. Since they are saying two are there side by side, back to back, they are connected. In between it is gusset plate. See how to understand this one is when you go to any industry, just look up there. Trusses are there, two angles back to back, they are connected. Two angles are there. It depends upon that. It depends on that. Okay. So here the problem is it clear the problem? Two angles are connected back to a gusset plate. Okay. This is very common feature in any truss. Any big size truss, if you go to industry, just look top here, you will find that most of the members are two angles connected back to back. Now you see this one here. So this is whatever I'm telling is the side view I'm explaining. Connected to either side of a 10 mm gusset plate. The gusset plate, whatever is there, no, this gusset plate is 10 mm thick. And the member is subjected to a working tension of 300 kN. So this is a tension member 300 kN here. This side and this side I can show it on either side it is. So this member is subjected to, it has to resist a tensile force of working, he says, is not factored, working tension of 300 kN. So this is a problem. Design the weld connection using Fe415 steel. Are you able to see this, read this problem? Or you want me to zoom it? Can you read this problem?
It's okay, sir.
You can read it now. Observe this.
Yes, sir.
A tie member of a roof truss consists of two angles 175 into 8 connected to either side of 10 mm gusset plate, and the member is subjected to a working tension of 300 kN. This is a, I can say here, this is 300, you can say working force, it is not factored. Okay, 300 kN on either side. So I have to design this one which is capable of resisting 300 into 1.5 times that, because it is working stress is given. Now step number one, decide the size of the weld. I am designing it. What design means what? I have to find L1, L2. I have to find the size of the weld, whether it is 8 mm, 6 mm like that. Then I should be able to find out L1 and L2. So L1, L2 and size of the weld. Once this is done, you can tell the fabricator, you connect these two angle sections with this much of length, and this should be the size of the weld. That we can say, that is nothing but design. When I say design a weld means we are trying to finalize the size and length of the weld. If I say analyze the weld means I have to find out size is given, L is given, I have to find out the load carrying capacity. If load carrying capacity is you are asked to determine, it is analysis problem. If you are asked to determine size of the weld and length, it is design problem. You can see this one here. I'll just go to step number one. Step number one is here. What am I doing here in the first step? You see here, I'm just trying to find out the size of the weld. How to find out? I have to decide the value of S. Once I know S, I can get throat thickness, which is 0.7 times 0.7 into S. I'll try to slightly increase it. So step number one is size of the weld. How to decide maximum size of weld? You can see 3/4 of thickness of angle. 3 by 4 into 8. Angle is 8 mm thick. 100 into 75 into 8. 8 is the thickness of the angle section. 3/4 is 6 mm. So the size of the weld should not be more than 3/4, or thickness of thinner plate. Thickness of thinner plate means what? There are two members. One is gusset plate, one more is angle section. So angle section is 8 mm thick, gusset is 10 mm thick. So out of these two, gusset and angle, thinner is angle section, because gusset is 10 mm. That is why thickness of thinner plate means I have taken 8 here, not 10. Try to understand this one. See this. If the gusset plate was 6 mm, what would have happened? I would have taken 6 here, because thickness of thinner plate. Out of gusset plate and angle, whichever is thin, that dimension should be taken here. 8 is taken because gusset plate is 10 mm thick. Angle is 8 mm thick. So that minus 1.5, I will get 6.5. So size of the weld should not be more than these two numbers. And what about the minimum size? Condition is there as per IS stipulations. It should not be less than 3 mm also. Table 21 of page 78 IS 800. So this condition is given on page number 78, table 21. Minimum size of the weld is 3 mm. One can weld, a fabricator, if you tell him, I want you to weld these two plates or members by using 3 mm weld. So minimum is 3, maximum allowed is 6. So we will go with 6 mm now. The value should be within 3 and 6.5. So what I will do? I will go with let us choose, usually it is let us try it is. Remember, 6 mm I have taken. Somebody can use 4 mm or anything. There is, as I told you, design is not unique. There can be n number of solutions. See this. Okay. As a first trial, I am using 6 mm. If 6 mm later it is found to be unsatisfactory, I have to use some other. Usually 4 mm we should start. In the examination, it is don't take that risk. Start with a very close to maximum value. 6 mm I have taken. Allowed was 6.5. Since 6.5 is not available, 6 mm is available for us for welds. 0.5 and all those are not there in real this one. Either a 4 mm, 3 mm, 6 mm, 8 mm, like that. So usually the entire design, entire welded connection in the entire chapter, usually we have used either 6 or 8 mm welds only. S is equal to either 6 or 8. Here I cannot use 8 because the conditions, as per the conditions, maximum permitted for this particular combination is 6.5. So I have used here, what I have done, I have used 6 mm, therefore throat thickness is 0.7 times 6, again 4.2, I got it. I got again 4.2, as usually whenever it is 6, throat thickness is okay. So first step is what we have done, size is finalized. 6 mm is yes, 4.2 is throat thickness. I'll go to step number 2. I think step 1 is quite simple. We have just got the size of the weld. Yes, and throat thickness. So let us go to the second step here. Second step is about a length of the weld, total length. Total length, it is includes L1 and L2 both, right? It is L1 and L2. What is the force? Force to be resisted using that formula, find the force to be resisted, you find out the length of the weld as we have done in previous problems. What is that one? PUW is equal to that formula, stress into cross-sectional area of the weld. Same formula, same thing is done here. In step 2, we can see here. This is the step 2 here. Step 2, you look at it. PUW, since he says working tensile force it was. So I have converted it into ultimate factored load. So it has to resist a factored load of 1.5 times working load, which is 300. So totally 450, which is 450 into 10 raised to 3. This must be equated with strength of weld. That is, what is the strength? How much is the resistance of the weld? So you can see this one here. This is, you can see this. So this is the force to be resisted, factored load. This one is, what is this? Stress into cross-sectional area, Fu by root 3 into gamma mw. In the problem he has given as shop welded. That is why I have taken 1.25. So this is 1.25 means this is a constant, directly I can get 189.4. So 410 divided by root 3 into 1.25 is 189.4. LE you keep it as it is. Total length you keep it as it is. Into, it is L into throat thickness, L into T. So throat thickness is 4.2. I got LE here. This is LE 566 mm. From this condition, I got LE as 560. Out of this LE, I should make how much is L1 and how much is L2. That's all. That is the end of the design. Out of 566, what should be the top weld? What should be the bottom weld? They are not same because unsymmetrical weld is there. Both top and bottom lengths will not be same. How to find that one? Already one formula I explained. I'll use that formula here. The next job is, my next calculation is, I need to split this L, which is 566, into two parts, L1 and L2. That much should be applied at top and bottom. Let us see that one. So this is the step number 3, last step it is. Now one more thing that has happened, since there are two angles, not single angle. Single angle problem is also there. Here two angles are connected back to back. You see here, the ultimate force that has to be resisted is 400 kilonewton. Because of 400, we use two angles. If the force to be resisted, ultimate force to be resisted is in the range of 100 to 150, one angle is sufficient. But here two angles are there. For practice purpose, I will give single angle. That is much more easier than this. You see this. But two angles are to be connected. Hence, the length of weld required for each angle. See, total force is 400 kilonewton. To resist the total force, the length requirement was 566. But there are two angles. Each angle I should apply 283 mm length. Length of the weld, you can see length of the weld for each angle. Okay, is it clear this one? If there is only one angle connected, you don't have to divide the length L by total length by 2 here. This 566 by 2 it has come because two angles are connected back to back. In this 283 I must split it because every angle will get total length of 283. Out of 283, what is L1, what is L2, I have to decide. So L1 plus L2 is 283. In that one, what is L1 and L2? So how to understand this one is L1 into A is equal to L2 into B. That's all. Okay. Now observe this step 3 here. Step 3 is the last step. Here, carefully observe this last step here. Now what I have done is I have calculated 566. The total length of weld required to resist 400 kilonewton of axial force was length required was 566. Out of this 566, one angle, for one angle I will use half of this length. So per angle the length of weld is 283 mm. How much is top, how much is bottom out of 283? That comes in the step number 3, which is again very simple here. Look at this formula here. Calculate the length of weld at top and bottom. Length of weld at top and bottom. Okay. So what is this top length here? How much is this length out of 283? How much is this? Since it is not a flat plate, it is an angle section. Centroid is somewhere here. This one you will get it in CX distance in steel table for this particular angle, which is 31 out of, this is 31. You can see this one here, this is L1, last step it is, this is L2. So L1 into 31 is equal to L2 into total minus 31. Total is 100. Total angle size, vertical leg is from this to this. You can see here, this is 100. Very simple formula I am going to use here. I know that L1 plus L2 is 283. Okay. I know one more formula, L1 into 31. L1 into A is equal to L2 into B. This is B. This is A. From the top it is, from the top line. It is A. A is already there from the steel table for 100. For this angle, centroidal axis, I'll get it from the steel table, that is 31 mm. So L1 into 31 is equal to L2 into 100 minus 31, which is here. See this. L1 into 31 is equal to L2 into 100 minus 31. From this one, I can establish a relation between L1 and L2. So therefore, L1 is equal to 2.22 L2. You can see this is L1. Here this is L1 is equal to 2.22 L2. Just substitute L1 plus L2 is equal to 283. Already we know it. Substitute L1 in place, that is 2.22 L2 here. You will get these two values. Separately, you will get the values now. Since L1 plus L2, since L1 plus L2 is 283, okay, 283, and L1 is equal to 2.22 L2, I'll get L2 as this. Therefore, L1 as 2.22 times that, 195.09. So it is written as 196. 87 is written as 87.8 is written as 8. So this is the complete design. Complete design means I have given the fabricator L1, I have given him L2, I have given him the size as 6M. All three are given. He knows the overlapping, how much to take now, how much angle should overlap on the gusset plate. He knows that because all the dimensions are given to him, he will easily fabricate it. He can easily fabricate because you have given him all the design data. Whatever design data is there, it is given to the fabricator. So hence provide the top weld as 196, bottom weld as 88, size as 66. So if you go back to the solution here, means diagram, right now 71 students are there. Whenever I tell you to type your US, and that time you should type, because usually some students disappear after 15 minutes. Some students are disappearing. So here, see this one here. So you can see this one. The L1 is very close to a, see this. Finally, we have reached here. See this problem here. Since this L1 is close to centroidal axis, L1 is higher, L2 is smaller. So we are able to design it. I'll give one problem in which only one angle is connected. Absolutely simple problem it is. In the exam, many times single angle has come, but rarely they are asking two angle problem also like this. So what is the